start. Good evening, welcome to the March 2nd meeting of the Glenville Town Board. Please rise for the invocation and pledge of allegiance. Join me in prayer. Dear God, we seek your help with our affairs here tonight. Bless this meeting with your divine intelligence and help us make the best use of our own. We may be of diverse opinion here, yet we wish to mend our differences and reach agreement that is satisfactory to all. Please share your wisdom with us to help us do right by all concerned. We ask this in your name. Amen. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please call the roll.
Councilman Martin?
Here.
Councilman Petlevani?
Here.
Councilman Broussard?
Here.
Councilwoman Worzbowski? Here. Supervisor Cancel?
Here, for those of you who picked up a agenda up front, we do have an executive session here, which is item number 14. We're going to go into executive session to discuss a personnel matter. We'll come back out and take up new business. Well, what we'll actually do is move new business above 14 so that nobody has to stay if you want to hear any of the new business. Because after 14, after the executive session, we do not anticipate coming out and doing any other further business. So you're free to stay if you like, but we don't anticipate further business from there. So, with the housekeeping out of the way, we'll go to town council reports. I'll start on my left with Councilman Boulan.
Nothing this evening, sir.
Councilwoman Worzbowski.
Another report.
I can't even drink my coffee. Councilman Martin.
No report.
Councilman Petlevani.
No report.
Okay. So we will start with the first legislative item on the agenda, which is a public hearing to hear all those interested in the proposed law to amend Section 195-17 of Chapter 195 of the Code of the Town of Glenville to provide regulations for the use of the dog parks. We'll now open that public hearing. Anyone wish to be heard related to the regulations on the new proposed dog park at what is now called the Anderson property? Going once, going twice, hearing none, public hearing is now closed. We'll open up privilege of the floor, which we see nobody has signed up for, but privilege of the floor is now open. Anyone wish to be heard at privilege of the floor? Mr. Look.
Well, people up here, 1965 Amsterdam Road, west through the neighborhood. Just a quick update on the illegal lights and the trespass coming from the old Dominion Trucking. They did come over with a couple of light people, very kind of last minute when they showed up. We invited them inside, but they did come over to our property and see the light shining 60 feet up in the air. And they said they're going to try and make it a little bit better. They didn't give us the contact information for the two lighting people that came into town, but they said they're going to try and fix one of them and then see what happens. And I invited Mr. McGinnis suggested that they inform the neighborhood when they do the one so that they can get feedback from the neighbors so that they can do what eventually bring some legal lights into that situation. And hopefully that won't be too long. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to be heard? Privilege of the floor. Going once, going twice. Privilege of the floor is now closed. And move to supervisor's comments to the board. Just a few quick updates. One, obviously, we'd like to start with financials as we're getting close to having the 2015 year closed out. I think our comptroller, Jason, provided you with the highlights, which just to go over really quickly, our overall total projected expenses for 2015 were down almost 1% from 2014. The largest decrease was in our water fund, due largely to having fewer water main breaks, which was good for our community. We're seeing that other communities around the county are not as fortunate. And just take a moment to plug the resolution we passed at the last board meeting for what we call CRISP. We've had some people start to show more interest in the infrastructure reinvestment fund that we're proposing to the state, which would be like the CHIPS program. I think we're reaching out to some state legislators who might be interested in picking up that legislation. I personally reached out to every chief elected official in Schenectady County, since the chief electeds in Saratoga County have picked this up and have gotten resolutions passed with their boards. I have not heard back from one of them, but it is ironic that after I sent out all the information, Rotterdam, Niskayuna had a water main break, and Rotterdam had a water main break, and yet still no word on any support for such programs. So we're going to keep trying to get them to get involved. I think for their community's sake, it would make a lot of sense, but we haven't heard anything back as of yet. That was my commercial for the infrastructure fund. But spending was also down in our town outside fund by nearly 2%, while town general fund expense increased almost 1%, just under 1%. The highway fund did have an increase, which was due wholly to increased paving throughout the town. Many of the residents were very happy to see that paving, both in Indian Meadows Park and through the neighborhoods, particularly the north side off of Route 50. But a lot of that paving, you have to remember, was eligible for CHIPS funding, so that was reimbursed. We were reimbursed to the state for those projects. Our CHIPS reimbursement claim was over $343,000 this past year, which is our highest in the last 10 years. So a lot of paving occurred this year, more so than in at least 10 years. Paid police overtime totaled $186,000 in 2015, which is our lowest since 2007, and $54,000 below our 2015 budget. So we did very well on that line as far as 2015 was concerned. However, just to be aware, our officers increased their collective comp hour bank by over 1,100 hours in 2015. So those comp hours will be paid later and virtually will offset the 2015 savings of paid overtime. So you're either paying it in money or you're paying it in time. And that seems like there's been a shift to the time at this particular time. Court revenues, we've talked about over and over again, are down significantly for the second consecutive year. Our total 2015 was $142,000, down from $163,000 in 2014 and $216,000 in 2013. Our recent peak was $261,000 in 2009, so we're off quite a bit in court revenue. Mortgage revenues ended at $518,000, down from $540,000 in 2014, so that line is down as well. However, through 5 months of 2016 collection, we are now tracking at an annual pace of $540,000 for 2016 if we maintain where we are. Our budget is $515,000, so hopefully we will be above budget in that revenue line if we continue where we are. With the 7 months into the 2017 tax cap, which you know we're all watching to see what our next budget will be capped at, the 2017 increase would be 0.44%, which equates to about $40,000 in new allowable tax levy for 2017. The year-end projections for 2015, our town general fund will have a surplus. This is a projection of $90,000. Outside the village fund, we'll have a surplus of about $200,000. Our highway will break even. Our sewer will have a surplus of $105,000. And our water fund will have a deficit of $130,000, which is covered with our planned fund use balance from the last budget. I want to say, I think we have to look at that water fund. We have to look at a couple things we're doing. Obviously, we're looking at the automatic water read meters, which will be, hopefully we'll have an update in the next couple of weeks for the board on that. But I think the last time rates were raised in that fund, Jason?
Over 10 years ago.
10 years ago was the last time we had a water rate fund increase. It's not popular, but we continue to see deficits in the water fund. year over year now. And so that will be the first indicator to tell you your revenues aren't matching your costs, and that's something we're going to have to at least discuss. I know nobody likes it, but our water is very cheap in this town, and apparently not covering our expenses. We had some interesting mail this week. I opened an envelope to receive an $89,000 check from the county, which you would think is great news, and it is. Apparently they're paying back their overbilling for the UCC. They claim that they've achieved $454,000 in savings, but when Jason and I looked at the budget, and as Jason will point out, there's really 5 things that created this savings. They use the word. First of all, New York State Retirement changed their billing methodology in 2015 and provided the UCC, because of the methodology change, $127,000 in budgetary relief. This savings would have applied to all the municipalities if we had the folks here. So that savings didn't materialize from efficiency gain in the UCC, materialized in the way that the retirement fund charges for the methodology for charging for retirement. Secondly, and this is a point of the whole lawsuit that occurred later in the year last year, the county routinely, and we pointed this out before, inflates their health expense budget lines, and they did so with the UCC. That resulted in $44,000 of lower costs. In 2014, we proposed to the county that the 2015 budget health expense be reduced to a realistic level, and we were ignored. That's when we're trying to get all that data, because we saw it was an inflated number in the budget, and we wanted to see the backup, and they didn't provide the backup. Now, we know why they didn't provide the backup, because they didn't have the backup. It was an overinflated expense, which we saw early on. Number 3, in 2014, we proposed that the county increase the 2015 budget 911 phone surcharge revenue line to meet historic norms. They refused. The revenue item that ended in 2015 was $31,000 surplus due to the original budget being projected too low. So they were projecting their 911 surcharge revenue line too low. We noticed that too, and we flagged that as well. Fourth, in 2014, we proposed that the 2015 budgeted PSAP grant revenue line be increased by $75,000 to mirror the 2014 budget line amounts. That request was ignored as well. The revenue ended in 2015 with a surplus of $168,000. So basically that's a grant that was accounted for correctly in the county budget, but was accounted for lower than what should have been in the UCC budget, making the savings appear when they knew that they were underestimating that budget, that grant revenue.
Won't that be just a one-time infusion too,
Yes.
being a grant?
All these are pretty much one-time infusions. And then the last thing is the county budgeted $252,000 for equipment repairs and maintenance. We stated at the time that we thought it was too high since all the equipment was brand new. And so why would you have $252,000 in repairs? And their actual expense, no surprise, came in much lower at $164,000, resulting in a savings of $89,000. So of those 5 lines, most of which or all of which were one-timers, it really wasn't a savings, it was just bad budgeting. And so you're going to see in the newspaper a big splash article that the county saved us all this money, but realize, as I told the reporter, it's hocus pocus budgeting that got us to this point. And so it's great to open an envelope and have $89,000 in it, but it's not real. And just lastly, Jason points out that the most transparent major expense, employee wages, came in almost $70,000 over budget. And regular wages came in under budget, but overtime expense was over budget by $306,000. It's a significant amount of overtime occurring at the UCC. So the overtime was nearly triple what they budgeted.
So
They
the,
don't mention that.
the expenses, which are not one-shot deals.
Right.
Which are going to be permanent year to year,
Are
are
skyrocketing.
permanent increases, not just one-shot increases.
Correct.
Great.
So just be aware when you see it, and it is true, we did get 89,000, but that's the reason why. Lastly, I attended the local government council for the Center for Economic Growth. We adopted the legislative agenda. It's much like what we've adopted in the past. We adopted of our agenda the infrastructure improvement funding we want from the state, which ties into that CRISP program we talked about earlier. We implement a mandate relief program for local municipalities under the tax cap, which never occurred. We also adopted a tool to help manage distressed properties that require banks to, we do have the registry here for vacant property, but this would require state law banks to register these properties and give us notice as to who they are so we can follow up with property complaints, which right now doesn't happen. And lastly, we adopted and amend the property tax cap so they would include things such as exemptions on major capital projects and infrastructure improvements. It also exempt things like the disincentive for the pilots that are in there right now, exempt business improvement districts so people can invest in a business, and you're seeing that, the business corridor, we're struggling with that ourselves. And also amend the tax cap formula to address disincentives to consolidate services. So it's a good agenda. We meet with legislators periodically, and we try to move that through. The last thing we talked about at that meeting, and I think I've talked to some of you about it already, apparently the governor has created a municipal restructuring fund that is administered through the DOS, Department of State. There's $25 million in that fund. It's a non-competitive grant that is they take rolling applications. The first round is due March 1st or 15th, I don't recall. The second round is due July 15th. And then the third round is not authorized yet. Depending on how much money's left, they might authorize a third round. What this municipal restructuring fund does is it incentivizes municipalities to come together and share services. So one of the things that we there's actually two projects we immediately thought of. One was a potential for a town center restructuring of bringing in either a private entity or working with the village or something like that on our town hall or government municipal center. The second one is also intriguing that we thought about is a regional transportation hub. So when you think about the town's DPW garage, and you think about the village's DPW garage, and you think about the Scotia Glenville bus depot, and you think about the Burn Hills bus depot, every one of us needs new facilities. Not one of us has adequate facilities. And so we've reached out to the school districts, both of them, and we've reached out, or starting to reach out to the village. It's a little bit not going as well as we'd like. And then working with Tom, Tom has created this shared services with East Glenville Fire Department where we're working on their fire trucks. So we'll do their brakes, we'll do their maintenance down at the garage. We're saving them a ton of money, and we're making a little revenue stream, so that's working out well. But I went to the fire chief's dinner the other night, and I presented this idea to them about having all the fire departments use us as their maintenance garage.
Well, that resolution that we passed was for all of them to do it, they just haven't yet gone on board.
Correct. Well, one of the problems is we don't have the space. We really can't fit the trucks in well. Our lift, we have one lift, and it's not exactly in great shape. That's going to have to be replaced soon. So we're envisioning a center that would have lifts, that would fit the new trucks in, that would have a truck wash, bus wash, that would service these vehicles. And there seems to be a lot of interest in this. So there's two competing ideas, first of all, to start with that. And then on top of that, we'd have to get buy-in from all the parties, and that includes the village. And then thirdly, we'd have to get this program together pretty quickly for July 15th. There's no way we're meeting March 15th deadline. It's not March 1st because it's already March whatever it is today. So July 15th. So we have a lot of work to do. Identify the project, get the partners, lay it out.
I looked at that grant application, and it's very, very intricate. It's a lot of work.
So I sent that on to the school districts. They have grant writers on staff. They've pledged that they would take the lead on writing the grants. So we have, if it's a transportation thing that we settle on. So we have support there. We would be the lead agency still, but they would do a lot of that work for us. We've talked about perhaps working with a consultant. It's that important, I think, to talk about that. But we have to make a decision pretty quickly as to where that goes. I will say, the application does not call for currently private-public partnership. It doesn't fund that. So our town center concept may not be the best fit for it. The transportation hub is right in the sweet spot, no question about it.
Well, the more public partners that are involved, the better. So the village, the school districts, and the town would be
And the
big.
fire departments.
And the fire department. And then in the town center, you can plausibly argue the county, the town, the school district again, with the administrative offices and the post office. So they would all be governmental agencies involved.
So our priority would be, what do we, and of course not asking for an answer tonight, but definitely we have to start thinking about that.
Well-
Figure out the priority.
I think if Jason can take a look at that as well, because it's tied, what I gleaned out of it was the amount of the grant is tied to the amount of projected tax savings that the participating jurisdictions are going to realize from the project. So you have to assign a projection to that amount. And it takes somebody of Jason's skills to do that.
Well, we can start with that. Sure. So I would say next Wednesday, we'll probably definitely want to have a work session discussion on it. So please come with your thoughts, and because I'd like to have a decision then, so we can then go out and talk to our partners, and then engage whatever consultant we might have to.
And I think the other thing that's required is you're going to have a third-party estimate of if it's a capital project, you have to put cost estimates to this new facility. You have to
You mean a developer?
Well, not a developer per se, but an architectural
Right.
cost estimate for the facility.
But we have someone working on the town center concept already,
Yep.
at no cost to the town. So we'll have that. Transportation piece, we'll have to work on.
But maybe it could be a shared among the, participating jurisdictions.
Right.
It would be nice if we could revisit the transportation with the GSA building. I mean, it's a natural fit.
And that's the third issue, is where would it go? So for example, that's a perfect fit, except for one of our partners, it's a far one for Burn Hills.
You would save on fuel
We're
costs.
trying to find a central location.
You would maybe lose on fuel costs, but the infrastructure over there
Right.
is phenomenal.
Right.
So
That's all the stuff we have to
It's
look
almost moving ready.
at. Right.
And if I remember correctly, Tommy, don't they have truck wash already over there?
No, they don't.
They don't have one.
They would entertain using it as a private partnership with the town.
And let's not leave out the county. If you did do it there, that would be a nice western presence for the county DPW. So that would bring in the county, I think, nicely.
No, it's a great program. It's going to take a lot of upfront preparation to get a good application.
It's Sophie's choice. We have to choose between two great projects. One of us may cry, but we have to choose one. So next week, I think that'd be a good discussion. Anything else? Thank you. Back to the agenda. Item number 8, resolution naming the parcel commonly known as Anderson property as Anderson Park. Do I have a motion?
So,
Do I have a second? Second. Moved in second. Any discussion?
Mr. Supervisor, this resolution is connected with an event in 2007 where Mark Anderson offered the town a 33-acre parcel at the corner of Sawyer Town and Van Buren Road for the express purpose of a public use park. We went through all the motions, we acquired the property. With the assistance of the Park Planning Commission, we developed a master plan for the property, which includes, among other things, a dog park. The park being developed on the donated land to date has not been officially named, and we are finally at the point where everything has come to fruition with the dog park, expecting to open in April of 2016, and part of the formal plan for the park included adopting an official name. In making the parkland donation, Mr. Anderson made one request that in memory of his wife, Sandra K. Anderson, she was somehow acknowledged. In light of his generous donation to the residents of the town, which will provide significant green open space and opportunities for passive recreation, we are obviously pleased to honor his request. This resolution would then officially name the 33-acre parcel Anderson Park, and in accordance with Mr. Anderson's wishes, direct that a sign be erected bearing the name of the park in memory of Mr. Anderson's wife, Sandra K. Anderson.
Thank you. Any questions or comments?
I think this is a great project. The Park Planning Commission did a lot of work on this. This has been probably, well, since before we were on the board, since 2007, they've been working on this, and I'm sure everybody's driven past it and seen it. It looks beautiful. The Highway Department did a ton of work. The Park Planning Commission did a ton of work. And I would like to thank everybody thus far who's done that. This is going to be a great addition to the town. We're hoping to develop some passive trails to connect with Indian Meadows so that you can walk basically from Van Buren all the way down to Indian Meadows Park on the trail system. So I'm looking forward to how we can work with our public and private partners to get that to come to fruition too. But this is a fantastic end, or beginning actually, with this parcel that came to us.
I believe we're planning a ribbon cutting ceremony on Saturday, April 2nd.
16.
Okay, or Saturday, April 16th. It's been moved. Hopefully we'll have signage and all that by then. The proper name. And then we're planning a more community-related day for the dog park and the Anderson Park for June 11th.
Correct.
Got that one right, that's a Saturday as well. So if you want to mark your calendars, ribbon cutting on April 16th with a brand new sign, and June 11th for the Community Day, which is still being planned for activities. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Pipelani?
Yes.
Councilman Blulant?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 9, adopting the local law to amend the code regarding the regulation of the town dog park. Do I have a motion?
So,
Do I have a second? Second. Moved and second. Any discussion?
Mr. Supervisor, this is in connection with the amendment to Section 195-17 Dogs and Animals of Chapter 195 of Parks and Recreation of the Code of the Town of Benville. This has amendment to this section contains the specific requirements, rules, and regulations for the use of the dog park. I will try to sum them up. I don't necessarily want to read all of them. Residents and non-residents will need to obtain a permit from the town clerk. Permits are free to Glenville town residents and $50 for non-residents. Non-resident permit allows the dog owner to register up to 2 dogs. The fee for each additional dog after the first 2 is $25. On applying for a permit, the dog owner must provide proof that each dog has a current New York State dog license and is current on its rabies and distemper vaccination. On registration, the dog will be issued a colored dog tag. Permits are valid for the calendar year and must be renewed each year. There's several rules that are set forth for the dog park. I'm not going to read them all. They're pretty much common sense. But if you really want to see them, we can talk with the town clerk. I'm sure that we can have
I think we'll have them posted.
We'll have it posted.
Now that we'll have these adopted, yes, they'll be readily available.
Okay.
And the main one being, it opens at 8 a.m. and opens at dusk every day.
Correct.
Weather permitting, yeah.
Permitting, weather.
Yeah. So,
So the main one is the owners must pick up after the dog. I don't want to see that.
yes, this is a community park, so hopefully people will residents will do that. You know, it's a beautiful piece of property. It's got a lot of improvements that are coming even still, and hopefully everyone will work together to keep it nice. So I'm not going to read these out loud, but that's basically the gist of it.
Any questions or comments?
I just would like to say, correct Gene on one thing, common sense is.
Anything else? Seeing none, please report the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Catalani?
Yes.
Councilman Delotte?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 10, appointing Jeffrey Prescott to position of deputy comptroller. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. For discussion, well, Jeffrey, I don't know why you got behind the dogs. We should have done it before the dogs. but Not saying anything. As you all know, Jeffrey joined us in May of 2007. Since then, he has proven to be a phenomenal employee and instrumental in efficient operations of the comptroller's office. The title Deputy Controller exists within the Civil Service classification system and mainly differs from the position of Assistant to the Comptroller in the minimum qualifications required and the ability to act in the absence of the Comptroller. Jeff Prescott possesses the experience clearly in the educational requirements necessary for appointment to the title of Deputy Comptroller. The Town Comptroller recommends that Jeff Prescott be appointed to this position. Obviously, it comes with a little bit of not just a title change, a little bit of a salary adjustment, but it's clearly, I think, aiding in the efficiency of the office so that Jeff could act in Jason's capacity if he's not there, which would be a huge benefit. I had the opportunity to work in close proximity with Jeff, and although he has somewhat of a annoying habit of whistling while he works, literally, singing at times out loud, and playing the air drums, he is a phenomenal worker otherwise, and I think, very worthy of this promotion. So, any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please call the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Catalani?
Yes.
Councilman Delotte?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Congratulations, Jeff.
Thank you very much.
Keep winning. Resolution 11, authorizing the supervisor to enter into a separate agreement with Baptist Health and Schenectady County. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
A second.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Mr. Supervisor, the Baptist Health Nursing and Rehabilitation Center on Judson Meadow, off Schweigertown Road, there's a sewer pump station right on the edge of the property. The pump station and the sewer mains are dedicated to the town. During the course of the past year, the town observed discharges of solid or viscous substances from the facility into the town sewer capable of causing obstruction or interference with the proper operation of the wastewater facility. The town, Baptist Health, desire to remedy this problem and to prevent obstruction and interference with wastewater facilities and propose to do so by the installation of an impeller at the Saratoga Road Pump Station at the sole cost and expense of Baptist Health. So hopefully this will resolve any potential cloggage or whatever like we experienced with Lake Glenville.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Catalani?
Yes.
Councilman Delotte?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next resolution is authorizing the supervisor to enter into an agreement to provide an audit for the town's general purpose financial statements. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded, and just for discussion, we've talked about this before, this is our audit, where we engage in the audit of our financial statements for fiscal years 2015, 16, and 17. The budget has appropriation lines for auditor fees for service containing $24,000 for financial statement single report fund, town clerk, tax collector audits. And so this, just following the fee structure, is for service covering $19,000 covering fiscal year 2015 for the financial statement audit, $2,350 for the single audit of court fund, or court fund audit, and $1,400 for town clerk or town collector audit. There also, as you can see, fees for services covering 2016 shall be $19,500 for the financial statement audit, $2,400 for the single audit, for the court fund audit, $1,450 for the town clerk or tax collector audit. And then, of course, I won't read them all, but 2017, same thing, except for $20,000 as opposed to $19,500 for financial statement audit. And a little bit more for the other two as well. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Catalano?
Yes.
Councilman Delotte?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Kexley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 13, adopting the Schenectady County Hazard Mitigation Plan. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
For a second.
Second?
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, our town Planning and Economic Development Department has been working in conjunction with the County Department of Economic Development and Planning to develop the update to the Schenectady County Multi-Jurisdictional Hazard Mitigation Plan. And the update is ready, and this resolution adopts that update.
Excellent. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Catalano?
Yes.
Councilman Delotte?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Kexley?
Yes, resolution passes. We'll go to item 15, which is new business, before we go to executive session resolution. And I'll start on the left, Councilman Dean.
Mr. Supervisor, one thing that we're probably going to put forth in the work session next week is something that myself and Highway Commissioner Tom Capola talked about, of a potential path from the end of the sidewalk in the town center to Woodhaven, to see if we can at least start getting some connection for people, because there seems to be a fair amount of residents who would like to be able to walk to town center. So with the cost of paving and things like of that nature, this might be something to at least get it going, that we can top coat it at a later date. So we're working on that, and maybe we'll have some ideas of potential expenditures or figure out how we're going to pay for something like that on Wednesday. We can talk about it.
Excellent. Anything else?
So that's it.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski.
I have nothing new.
Councilman Martin.
Nothing?
Councilman Pizzavani.
Nothing new?
I have nothing new either. So we'll move on to item 14. We're going to go into executive session to discuss personnel matters. You're free to stay here if you want. We go in the other room, but we do not anticipate further business. So when we come out, we'll just probably adjourn. So with that, I'll entertain a motion for executive session.
I'll move it.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Move in a second. All in favor?
Aye.